Someone commented on my video and said, it's like you know exactly what to say. It's like you came in through my window. And I think I said back to her, I said, maybe we're just all in the same house. I think that's what I've seen over the last year is we might have different experiences, but we feel the same things. We feel the same thing. There's a theme. It's like human school. We're in human school and there's lessons being taught, whether it's shame or guilt or fear or joy or confusion or betrayal or whatever it might be. What happened to you is different than what happened to me, but the themes were the same. So if I can talk on the themes, I'm going to connect because my fear feels the same as your fear. Yeah. And my confusion feels the same as your confusion. So you connect off a feeling.
JB Copeland. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm great.
Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, I know.
I really appreciate you coming over here.
I'm excited to get into whatever you have.
Well, it's cool, man. I've really enjoyed getting to know you.
Yep.
You know, I met you through your younger brother Jake, or you call him Jacob. Right?
It's funny. I've always called him Jacob. And
have you really?
And then one day, everyone was calling him Jake.
Okay.
And I was like,
well, maybe Jake's his professional name.
I guess so. But like, I still call him.
You still call him Jake?
It doesn't feel
right.
I can call you Jake, but it's like you're Jacob.
Right.
Yeah. People don't know I have two younger brothers, Jacob. So so this is funny.
Yeah.
I get pissed about it, but so I'm a junior. I'm not pissed about that. But like
I'm the third.
My name is John Byron.
John Byron.
From Shreveport. So Louisiana, everyone had double names. John David, John Abram,
for sure. Yeah,
you know, Emily Grace, Anna Grace, you know.
Jim Bob.
Yeah, Jim Bob. And so my name's John Byron. And then Jacob is Jacob Landon. And then we moved to Arizona when I was like 9.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm the most country little kid ever. I'm like, y'all and
right.
And everyone made fun of my name. They'd call me like John Barron, and you know, and I was like, screw this. I'm changing my name to JB.
JB.
So that happened in 2nd grade. Changed my name to JB.
Interesting.
And then, which it's funny, I've never really thought about why I did that. It was just because it's kind of a mouthful to say John Byron. Like, I wonder. And then my dad is John Byron, but he goes by Byron. Okay. And then my youngest brother comes along, and his name is Jet Chambers. I was like, y'all, the names just got cooler. Right. Like, y'all kind of screwed me.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, I mean, Jet's pretty. But
I'm making JB great again.
That's so good, man. Yeah. That's so good. Well, since we're going to get on this topic of how you came up with JB, I'm going to go ahead and tell my audience a little bit. Yeah. So we obviously, you know me as Conrad. I changed my name. I started going by my middle name when I got in the business world. So after college, like during college, everybody kind of called me Maddie for my last name Madsen, you know? And so I kind of had gotten away from David, which was kind of my name growing up, but really it wasn't even Dave. David was my name like in school, but my mom and my relatives called me Davey because I'm the third. So when they had me, my dad was finally able to shed the Davey, which is horrible. I mean, I think the only cool Davey ever is Davy Crockett, right?
Yep.
I mean, but Davey's just, I don't know, it just sounds like a little kid name.
Yep.
But so that's interesting that you did it in 2nd grade. It took me a little longer, man. But yeah, Conrad. And I'm so glad I did it because
I love that name. Yeah.
You know, in the business world, when I'm calling on people or, you know, I don't ever have to use my last name anymore. Right. But if I still went by David, like, you'd be like, David who? Like, there's a million Davids, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, the same thing could be said about JBs. There's not a lot of JBs out there. Have you ever met one?
I mean, you know, it's people will be like James Bond or like Justin Bieber or Jonas Brothers.
Okay.
You know,
I guess there are, but nobody really like
no one's
putting them
stuck
together.
with JB. Yeah. So there isn't many JBs out there.
For sure.
There's JDs or JPs or BJs.
Right.
A lot of BJs. But
yes.
Including a restaurant. And so, I don't know, man. It's just funny that's kind of stuck, and that's what you go by. That's just what I've always gone by.
Yeah.
And so
your brother's in commercial real estate, and that's how we got hooked up.
Yep.
You know, I've known Jake for a while and try to give him a little mentorship here and there. Great young man.
Dude, he's a beast. We're so different. Like we've always been so different.
Right.
He's very serious and very
detailed,
very put together, very well shaven, very Travis Matthews.
Right.
No hat, no beard,
right,
no facial hair. But we also played the same exact position in football, and so it's like I know him to a T. I know him so well. I know how he works, but man, he's a CEO. I am more of a, I don't know, artist.
Yeah. Right.
A little bit more funny, a little bit more out there.
Sure.
But
now, did y'all both play outside linebacker?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And we both got moved to middle linebacker in college because.
Interesting. Yeah, you weren't fast enough.
Dude, they should have kept me on the edge. But the position we both played in high school was it was kind of a rover position.
Yeah.
Sam.
Right. Sure.
And we ran a 3-4 at South Lake Carroll.
Got it.
And so that Sam position was like, I'm either on the line if there's a tight end, or I'm guarding the number 2 receiver, or I'm playing both. And so depending on whatever formation that they're in, I really liked being able to, I had the size to, size up a tight end.
Sure. Now you're a little bigger than bro.
I am, and we don't talk about that. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. I'll say this: Jacob and Jet are both shorter than me.
Yeah.
Jacob is very, very strong.
Yeah.
Jet is very, very, very fast. Now I'm fast too, but I'm very straight fast.
Yeah.
Jacob and Jet had a little bit more of agility. I just was a little bit more crazy.
Yeah.
I was crazy.
Yeah.
So
now let me ask this. Like, all y'all went to South Lake Carroll, which is a football machine in the state of Texas. Like, did you always live in South Lake, or did your parents like kind of start seeing that y'all were talented in middle school and such, and they're like, we got to get them into the program?
I think it was my dad's dream. So we grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana for my first 9 years of life.
Yep.
And there was a school in Shreveport, Evangel.
Sure. A lot of great players come out of there.
I mean, in the late 90s into the early 2000s, they were dominant.
Yes.
And my dad was a coach there. He was he was one of the football coaches.
Yeah.
He is one of the baseball coaches, but he was also it was a Christian school, so he was like the campus youth pastor.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when we moved to Arizona, from I was 9 to 12, you get to Phoenix, and it's like there is no
the football probably
there is no culture of football there. It's like let's go on a hike and right. We're playing flag football, or
right.
It was very low pressure. But when we moved to Texas when I was 12, bro. Actually, I wasn't 12. We moved to Arizona when I was 6, and I was there till 9, and then we moved back to Texas when I was 9. So
got it.
That was when I was in second, third grade.
Yeah, right.
And played another year of flag, then started, and we had moved to Keller, and right by Keller Central.
Yep,
it was a brand new school at that time.
Right,
they sucked. South Lake was 05, 03, 04, 05, 06, Riley Dodge, the pinnacle of South Lake Carroll.
I mean, just winning state championship after state championship.
Yeah. And so we were in Keller for a little bit, and then we moved to North Richland Hills, and I was in North Richland Hills 4th and 5th grade year. And then I think I was all right. I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet. Jacob was still young. He wasn't playing. Jet was still a baby.
Yeah.
But I think my dad did see it. I was really, really good at baseball. Baseball was my first love, and that was my dad's sport. He loved baseball.
Okay.
But the culture and what everyone loved was football,
sure,
especially at Southlake. And so they moved us into Southlake in my 6th grade year. And Southlake has a weird school system. It's 5th and 6th. So there's like, 6 or 7 elementary schools.
Sure.
And then those schools are split in half, and each of them go to an intermediate school, and it's 5th and 6th grade. And so there's Durham, and then there's Dawson, and everyone's a dragon. The mascot is dragon at every elementary school, at every intermediate school, and then middle school is 7th and 8th grade. And then high school is 9th and 10th.
Is there only one middle school?
There's 2 middle schools.
Okay.
There's 2 intermediates, there's 2 middle schools, and then there's one high school
sure,
and 1 senior high.
Oh.
So there's 2, like they split those up too.
Okay.
Which, I mean, a lot of guys, if you're really good, you're playing with varsity, 9th and 10th grade.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was, I think it was a move my dad made. I think one of the principal there, they played college ball together during the reign of.
Where did your dad play?
He played at Centenary College in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
And at the time, they were the smallest D1 school.
Right.
But they were, making it to, I think they almost made it to the World Series. I don't really know. I don't know much about it. I just know that he was a legend, hitting bombs.
Yeah.
And so I think his goal for us was like, I'm athletic. Your mom's athletic, her dad's athletic, but we didn't really know what that meant. We didn't know how tall we were going to be.
Sure.
And for me, especially, I was a very, very late bloomer. I didn't bloom until I was 17.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was 5'6", freshman.
Yep.
Sophomore year.
See, I bloomed between my freshman and sophomore year. I was like 5'6", and then I went to 5'11".
And then
sophomore year.
Yeah, my junior year, I shot up to 6'3", but I was so skinny. I was like 6'3", 180,
sure,
maybe 175.
But still,
I was starting.
Yeah,
but I was starting at linebacker. That's more of like a strong safety, weight.
Yeah,
but was still playing really good. And then
junior, does everybody get like the blonde hair dye? Is that like in the locker at Southlake Carroll?
No, you're just expected.
Yeah.
Playoff times, you got to have your blonde hair. So grow your hair out.
I mean, are they still doing that?
Oh yeah, dude. It's Southlake. Southlake is tradition filled. It's an amazing place. There's a secret. I don't know what the secret is. I think the secret is truly just the culture of
it's like Odessa Permian way back in the 80s and the early 90s, right? Where the whole community lives and breathes football.
Yeah.
And they're breeding it from middle school, right? You're running the same plays.
All the same plays from middle school. Now with Pee Wee, we're all dragons too.
Right.
So dragon white, dragon black, dragon gold, dragon yellow, so we're all dragons playing each other. We've been We've all known each other, and so it's like, and if we don't make it to the Pee Wee Super Bowl, we're rooting for that Dragon team.
Yeah.
And so it's like, they were competition, but they were also who we were going to be playing with. And so it's like coaches are scouting out there when we're 4th and 5th grade, and they're like, even if it's middle school, like you're expected to win. And so it's a cool thing that they've built.
Yeah.
There.
For sure. I mean,
truly.
Yeah, I mean, in the aughts and, even to today, I mean, they're still highly competitive. But there was a stretch there of like 10 years where it was just like every year they were winning the state championship. And
yes.
Insane. Some years, probably technically national champions or close to, right?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, just insane.
It's insane. And then you have the Allens of the world, and
and then after y'all, probably Allen, and then
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
I played against Kyler in his first game ever starting.
Really?
He was a sophomore. I was a junior. We opened up against Allen in their new stadium.
Which, for y'all outside of DFW or Texas,
that was the stadium, bro.
$80 million or something like that, right? Or 200. I mean, it just massive. Google Allen Eagles football stadium. It's insane.
And Kyler just scorched us, bro. We got scorched. Like, we called him a water bug. You
couldn't contain him.
You can't contain him, and like, we're taught to contain. That's the one thing about South Lake is like, we might not be the biggest, but like we know
the system.
We know the system very well. There is no open gaps.
That's right. That's right. That's how you win. Is you work. It reminds me a lot of like when Coach Leach was early at Texas Tech, right? And he was running. He basically invented the spread offense. Okay, and he only ran like 5 plays. Now sometimes they were out of different formations.
Yep.
But they ran them so many times that it was just automatic, right? The guys knew exactly where to be. And that South Lake Carroll, Highland Park, very similar in that you understand the system. You might not have the best athletes.
Yeah.
Now, you got some good ones.
Yeah.
But because you ran that system so many times, the mistakes are just so far few between.
And you saying that too, it's like, when we would practice and we would prep for a game, you have practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, just scullies and, helmet and shoulder pads. Right. Thursdays walkthrough, Fridays walkthrough, Friday morning walkthrough, Friday afternoon walkthrough. It's like every single play that team was running, we had to play. Every single form, like it was, we were so... I mean, you can ask any of the guys I played with, especially my junior and senior year. It's like we were so ready that we knew what was coming before
the ball was snapped.
And dude, our junior year, up until playoffs, really up until we played DeSoto in the 4th round, bro, we let up like 15 points all year. And then I get to college and I'm playing, Division I ball. And I'm tripping because we're about to go play Georgia.
Yeah.
And we're messing up walkthroughs.
Right.
And the coaches are just like, all right, but like, no, we're at South Lake Carroll. It's like, no, we're running that stuff until you get it. Like, we're staying here all night until exactly what to do. And so it's like, you see
wild?
You see the score difference in college, and it's like, why do defenses suck in college? I mean, obviously the talent level's higher and the coaching, but
they haven't run the same system for so long.
No, and all these different people are coming in
from different systems, and
that's why Saban was so good.
Yes,
with Alabama,
and
how long he was there, and he's a defensive guy. Defense wins championships
for sure.
I'm a defensive guy. It's like those guys were, I have to wait my turn and I got to learn this. You have to be very, very smart to play lights out at that level against that kind of competition, especially in the SEC. It's like, but I mean, I played in the ACC. We're playing,
Florida
Clemson, Florida State,
sure.
Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb. We're playing Georgia. But it's crazy. We didn't prepare as much as we prepared in high school. That's one thing I'll always remember is like, well, yeah, they gutted us. Like, we didn't prepare. Like,
it's just wild that just shows you why your program was so successful, right?
Yep.
And, it's funny. I had happy hour recently with a guy named Luke Jokel. And Luke was the number 2 overall draft pick in the NFL about 10 years ago.
Yep.
He was starting left tackle for Johnny Manziel and A&M back in the day. And Luke was just talking about, going from A&M to Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, the worst franchise in the pros.
Yeah,
and how bad their facilities were, right, comparatively to A&M,
which is insane.
Right? Because you think, okay, well, now I'm in the big leagues, I'm in the NFL, and literally. And so your example of like, dude, high school was more stringent than your college experience, and then this guy was
even off season, like dude, UNC had something called Blue Dawn, which was like Hell Week. Mm-hmm. Well, we had Dragon Maker. that shit, bro. There's nothing harder than Dragon Maker. I mean, Navy SEALs came in at UNC and would put, nothing is harder than Dragon Maker. And those coaches were, it's not the same coaching staff, but those coaches were so hard, and there was no end to it.
Yeah.
The end came when all the coaches gave the thumbs up, and it could go on for 10 days. It could go on for 3 days. It could go on for 20 days. It could go on for 3 months.
Yeah.
Only when you're ready. Yeah. Only when you've been made a dragon. Bro.
Dragon Maker.
Bro. There's nothing harder than Dragon Maker.
It's unbelievable. I love these stories, man.
Nothing.
It's so good.
And any South Lake player will tell you, even if they went and played at higher levels, nothing is harder than Dragon Maker. And then on top of that, Dragon Maker in the morning, and then you are forced to run track in the afternoon. And the football coach is the track coach.
Right.
And it's like, all right, 12 200s.
Let's
you guys
go.
ready? And then we're like dying. We're dying. And so
not fun.
Definitely was like the hardest time of my life. But
looking back on stuff like that though, like, don't you think sports and going through those hard times like that, like, made you such a better man in person? I mean, what do you think?
I do. I that's a good question. I've done a lot of thinking about it.
I mean, you're a deep thinker, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit.
I think the coaching staff that we had, man, I loved my outside linebacker coach, Mike Lovelace. I loved our D coordinator, Tim Wasson. His brother, Hal Wasson, he was the head coach. And then, I mean, the coaching staff that we had was insane. But as I look back and I see, it's like we're kids. We're teenagers.
Yes.
And sometimes I rack my brain on why, like, in that position as a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, it's like, this is everything. It's everything.
It's everything.
We've been waiting our whole lives to like be on varsity and to play. But
yes,
it's not about what you do. It's about why you do it. And I think that was the issue with us and our teams. There was a fear-based mentality behind it. You don't mess up.
Yeah.
And if you mess up,
it's kind of the Saban way.
It is. And it works. It works in a team dynamic for a certain time period.
Yep.
But it doesn't work for the individual as time goes. When I got to college and I was playing and I'd mess up, I mean, I wasn't used to messing up. And I'm learning a whole new system and man, it would paralyze me. And my coach, his name's JP. He was an awesome D coordinator. He was an awesome linebackers coach. But like, I would freeze up because it was this fear of if you don't mess up or you're out, like we're pulling you. And it's this perfection that South Lake molded on the field. And that's just not life.
Yeah.
It's not life. Now, it worked for the, 2-3 years I was on varsity and for all those guys. But you can look back at our team. All of us were just always high. We were always drunk. I mean, minus a couple people.
Right.
But like we had to numb this expectation.
Yes.
To meet the expectation.
And
I remember my coach coming to me and it was during camp at UNC and I just wasn't playing full speed because I was thinking too much. I was paralyzed.
Yes.
And he was like, I'm not going to get mad at you if you mess up. Just do it full speed. And that didn't register. He was so nice. He was such a nice guy. But like, I had been trained to be perfect, and I couldn't hear him because I wasn't perfect. And that's when my downfall began with college sports. It's like, and then I get concussions, and back to back, and it's like, my whole world comes crumbling down over mistakes. And I realized I'd been shaped by a culture of fear. And I say that to say with this is like looking at the South Lake Dragons now, it's like their coach, Riley Dodge, one of his sayings is no fear. They are very, I think that they've changed that culture of what was before he came in, and I appreciate that, because those kids, as they grow up, that culture, I mean, you look at, some of the guys I played with, even, from Manziel to Kenny Hill was our quarterback. I mean, they were really tough on Kenny, man. Like very, very tough on Kenny. But I mean, I failed out of college.
Yeah.
I mean, I failed 3 drug tests for marijuana. I couldn't stop smoking. I mean, the pressure that I put on myself, and I'm like, where did that pressure come from? Because it didn't come from me.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have this in me? And it's like, I have to numb it. And then, you look back through childhood and it's like, dad was the same way. And middle school, it's just how it is. It's how I'm not living up to what's always been expected of me.
Yeah.
And the expectation was perfection in my head.
Yeah.
Now they might say otherwise. Well, no, we were just trying to get you to not mess up that much. And that's the whole thing. And I agree with that, but there's a spirit behind things.
Yep.
And if you can coach perfection with a spirit of love, which I don't know if is possible, I think it will help the individual, the player in life.
Yep.
I've had to work through a lot of that in my life, of not feeling like I'm enough.
Do you think when you start having the concussions and you got, you start smoking a little weed here and there, obviously more than you probably needed to. Do you think a lot of that stemmed from you knew that football was over?
Man, I had smoked weed since my sophomore, junior year of high school.
No, I know, but like once the concussions and failing out, like all those things compounding, right?
It's a in mental health terms, you call it a self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And you don't even know you're doing it. It's like you talk yourself out of, well, you might get drug tested and you've already failed one. You've already failed, but they're not going to test me. And it's a survival mechanism. But at the same time, what you're doing to survive is sabotaging your life. And so, yeah, man, I think I did know it was coming to an end. I'd already failed one test coming into I came into UNC, and the first week I broke someone's jaw at a frat party.
Oh,
so number one, I get sued.
God.
And then a couple weeks in, I failed my first drug test, and they're like,
yeah.
And I'm more hard on myself than the coaches were, but like I'm freaking out, and what's dad gonna think? And I'm failing miserably, and at the end of the day, like I did fail a drug test, and then I didn't fail another one for about 8 months, and then concussions started happening, and I knew it was over, and it's weird because it was a very weird feeling, because it was almost a sense of relief, but it was also a sense of deep shame and guilt that I didn't have that. Like, it's like, this is all over now. I can just put this behind me. But I was a very good athlete, and it's like I didn't care to continue, but at the same time, I really cared to continue. It was just two different sides of you. It's like I'm relieved, but very upset at the same time.
Yeah,
I still dream about football. I still think about, like, I'll have dreams that I'm at UNC and I get one more year.
Oh, dude. I mean, when you're later in life, you think about, just what you would done differently, and I look back at, we've talked, I signed with a D2 school, and then I walked on at Tech for 2 years, right? Because I was like, if I'm going to make it, I'm going, I'm making it on the biggest stage type deal. But growing up, I thought making it to the NFL was like how I was going to get out.
Yep.
Right? Because I grew up in very poor South Texas, and for me, Tom Landry's from my hometown, and like that gave me my inspiration probably in life of seeing, like, okay, this guy came out of here and now he's like the head football coach for the Dallas Cowboys, right? And so that was always my path out. And and then injuries started piling up, and drinking way too much beer, chasing too many girls, and not really focusing on developing my body and, practice and all those things. And then, you realize like, man, this isn't going to work. It's not going to, it's not going to work out. Like I'm not even going to get to play.
Yep.
And if I don't play, I'm never making it to the NFL. And, the injury, my leg just, to this day, it still bugs me, and that's 30 years later.
Yep.
And then you just kind of like, as a young, we were teenagers still at that point, maybe 20, 21, and you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do now?
Yep.
Right? Like it's over.
Yep.
And like you, what would you give to run out of that tunnel one more time, bro? Like, I remember when our coaches used to tell us that stuff.
I know.
And as a kid, you're just like, yeah. Right?
Yeah, there's one quote that's always stayed with me, and T-Was, our D coordinator at Southlake, he'd say, each quarter was 12 minutes, and he would say 48 minutes and a lifetime of memories. And those words I always think about it. 48 minutes on the field and a lifetime of memories.
Yeah.
And really it is a lifetime of memories. And we were so, you're so not in the present moment because you're so worried about the outcome of the game, and you don't look to your left and your right and the boys that you've been in battle with for years, since
decade.
And then it's all over. And my senior year, I was starting to get a ton of offers. I was a team captain, and fourth game of the season, I tore my ACL. And season over.
Heartbreaking,
dude. And then we lose in the third round because that position didn't get filled well. I'm dead serious. It was It was the gutting runs. It was the guy that filled my role didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I felt, and then our other outside linebacker, who was a beast, his name is Tim Barnhart. He tore his shoulder, and so he and I were both out, and it was left in the and it's like there's a guilt that comes with it. It's like if me and Tim could be out there, bro. Like
I know.
I sound like it's like like Uncle Rico right now.
Yes, we do sound like Uncle Rico, but people don't understand. And where I grew up in South Texas, like South Texas never makes it very far in the playoffs, right? We don't have the athletes that DFW does. But what I will say is the fandom of those people down there, because we don't have any pro sports teams and everything.
Yep.
Like it's very similar to the culture that you grew up in at Southlake, where like, dude, the town rolls up, and they are there. We were running. I was at a 3 and a 4A school, and we would play in front of 10 or 15,000 people every Friday night, right? Like
huge.
And similar deal where my school that I grew up in, like you were a Rattler your entire life. You wore the same school colors, right? Like it didn't matter what elementary or middle school you went to, and like that was the dream, like, and so when you get out there, you're just like, dude, this is it. It
really was it. There's nothing like high school football.
There's nothing like high school football in Texas. And I tell people that all the time. Like, it's unbelievable.
You go to college, it ain't even that cool.
Like you said, no, it's really not. You're playing in front of more people, but the bonds the guys are not like the same of the guys that you were playing in Pee Wee and all through middle school and just all those things, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. God, we've sat here and talked for football for 45 minutes or so, but I could talk football all day long.
Me too, bro.
Dude, let's jump into the next part of your life because we hadn't even got into this, but JB now is what you would call a social media influencer. In a year, little over a year, like you have 1.5 million followers or so, right? Just on Instagram.
Yeah,
probably over 2 million when you put them all together, Before we dive into that, after you get out of college, What did you do before you got into this social media world that you're living in today?
Yeah, so I was set to graduate at UNC in 2018, May of 2018. I failed out my senior semester, had about 6 credits left and couldn't get myself in the position to, I couldn't pull it off like I'd always pulled it off.
Yeah.
I got a call from my uncle, and he said, hey, I have a linebacker coach position for you down in San Antonio. I'm taking over as the head coach. It's a private school. You don't need your degree. I understand that you've failed out, and will you come down and be our linebackers coach? And it was a family ordeal. It's like my cousin was the quarterback.
Yeah.
Uncle was the head coach. My other uncle was the coordinator. And so I was like, screw it, let's do it. And so I went down to San Antonio for a year and, made stupid decisions. I wasn't in college anymore. I wasn't, halfway across the nation. I was, with family, but just acting a fool and, driving drunk, wrecking my car, just doing stupid stuff, man. And at the time, my wife, we weren't married yet, but we had been kind of on and off for a couple of years. She met me right after all the concussions, and she never got to see me play.
Wow.
She has no clue. And she's not a football person either. She's
interesting.
She's from Canada. She likes hockey. I don't even know how do you watch this?
Yeah.
And so we get engaged April of 2019, and my uncle resigns at that school. So I resigned and I came back home, and I didn't really know what to do. And I'm trying to get my life together. I'm a drug addict, from pills and weed and whatever. I'll take it, alcohol.
Yeah.
And so my dad, he's a pastor. He's always been a pastor. And he was working at a big church in DFW. He'd been at this church since 2003 when we'd moved here from Arizona.
Yeah.
Gateway Church, which is
right down the street.
Yeah, which has been on the map for a while with all their stuff going on. But I just said, hey, can I volunteer with you? I don't really know what to do with my life. And he said, yeah.
Did your parents know you were struggling?
They never knew.
Wow.
Never. It's the one thing about being a pastor's kid, bro. You're really good at
hiding,
and hiding. It eats you as life goes. It eats you.
Yeah,
it eats you alive.
Yeah,
and so I started volunteering at Central. They called it. It's like headquarters, and there's 10 campuses. But I started volunteering with the digital strategies team, and I always had a knack for marketing, that kind of stuff. But within a couple months, I'm married. I don't have a job. My wife's working at Fabletics, making like $800 a month.
Right.
My dad gave us a little money to get us started, like $6,000, which was so much money to me.
Wow.
And the Dallas campus called me, Gateway Dallas campus called me and said, hey, we need a student, like a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm a drug addict.
Right. I don't know.
But the answer is yes.
Wow.
This is like, and it's like,
you needed a job.
I needed a job, man. And I knew I'm good with kids. Like, whole different world. You think of growing up in Southlake, it's or Frisco or wherever around the DFW area. It's like suburbs. Well, this was inner city.
Yeah.
There, we need you to come and revamp our student program. And so, you get a mission and you figure it out, and they give you some budget, and you're overseeing a team of 5, and it's like, all right, let's go to the football teams. And it's like using that background of being able to connect, and we did a lot of good things at Gateway Dallas. And I'm learning to preach. I'm scared to death to get up there, and vaping in the bathrooms before I go out. Like, I'm a wreck, but I'm holding it together.
Yep.
And, then COVID hits and, that everything got worse and taking more and more and more pills. And then, 2021 comes around and I'm, we're growing and everyone's celebrating what I'm doing at the Dallas campus and blah, 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 blah. And I'm dying inside. I mean, my wife doesn't like me and,
wow.
Dad's very happy and, that I'm the one they're talking about. And,
right.
it's like, I'm trying to like rebuild this identity and I don't even know me.
Wow.
And 2022 comes along and I started having panic attacks in April of 2022. And I'm, like I said, we're growing. Things are great. I've lost a ton of weight. I'm so anxious. I'm like 180. I'm tall and skinny and I don't look good. I kind of look like the Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker, bro. I look like I wasn't there. And then, all this stuff from all these years that I've just pushed down and never dealt with. I'm wondering why I'm having panic attacks. And it's like, so once I started having panic attacks, like that's when I knew I lost control. Being an addict, you got to be a control freak. You control your daily substance intake, and you got to control. You're a controller. And when I lost control of my physical body, and I thought I was dying, man, that scared me. I was like, I got to go to a mental institution. Like I don't know what to do. My dad. I had that panic attack and my dad shows up it was a really late night panic attack and my dad shows up at the ER and he grabs the drug test papers because they'd drawn blood and it's like amphetamines and, Xanax and opioids and, and he like just shocked. And my wife's trying to cover for me because she knows how dad reacts. And, it was a very, very bad time. And within a couple months, I just got really honest with my dad, which was hard. I got really honest with my boss at Gateway Dallas. And I was like, look, I'm a drug addict and I've been a drug addict since I was like 18. And, I don't know what to do because like I've gone down and tried to get prayer thousands of times. Like, God, please take this from me. I don't want to be like this.
Right.
Like I see people laughing and, having a good time with life and I'm over here being tortured. Like, I don't want this. Like, and so, day after Father's Day, June 2022, I go to rehab, bro. They put me on FMLA, which is, it's a new mental health thing, or if you get sick or something, HR will put you on FMLA, and they paid me and they gave me 90 days off, which was very nice of Gateway to do that. And had a lot of support from my campus pastor who was always making comments. He was like, you look really skinny. What's going on? Like, he'd been saying things over the last couple months that he's looking and seeing, and as he's saying that, we're blowing up. Our student ministry is blowing up, but he was questioning. And so I was just like, look, I don't know if there's been any other pastor that's ever gone to rehab, but like, if I don't do this, I'm probably gonna like have a mental breakdown. Right. And so I went to rehab.
Yep.
And
where was that?
Waxahachie, Texas. 20 dudes, middle of nowhere, cows, horses, no phone, 60 days.
Yep.
Hardest but best decision of my life. I didn't think that they could help me. Like, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that these people can help me. They're just trying to take our money.
Yep.
$60,000 to be there, which I didn't have.
Right.
My dad's trying to pay it. Gateway's trying to pay it. I'm like, no, I don't want any strings attached with any of this, or I'm going to be attached to the hip to you guys for the rest of my life. And so, man, it was a very dark but very it was a time of deep reflection. The first thing they said when they got there, I was reading my Bible, and the guy said, "Put that down. You're numbing." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm numbing?" And he was like, "You just don't want to sit with yourself. You're trying to." So I'm not saying the Bible's bad. I'm just saying you're not taking the time to reflect. You're just trying to read some words. God's not going to connect with you there. And I was like, listen, I'm just going to listen to you guys because I read my Bible for 10 years straight.
Right.
And nothing's happened. I'm not saying that there's no power in the Bible, but what I am saying is there was a deeper thing in me that I had to come face to face with that wasn't going to come from reading a scripture.
Right.
I couldn't ingest what those words were saying because there was so much turmoil. I had to go and face something a lot deeper.
Yeah.
And so that's what those 2 months were for. A lot of crazy, amazing things happened there that helped me find a new relationship with God.
Yeah.
Not my dad's, not the church's, just me and him.
Yeah.
And came out with a lot of questions of what it meant to follow God. And I got different opinions now, and I'm not scared to have these opinions. And why do I feel so good now? And I'm able to question, and I don't feel guilty about questioning. And I for sure thought my job was gone, but they called me back and were like, "Hey, we want you as a youth pastor." Maybe a little nepotism there. I don't know.
Right.
But step back in full force in September of 2022 and was there for 6 months. And at the end of those 6 months, I just felt like I heard God, or whatever you want to call it, say, "Jump, just jump." And I'd already known something was shifting. And so I quit and started roofing and was trying to just figure life out. You just kind of just jump into a void.
Right.
And so, yeah, man, that kind of led me to being like, I have a message, I have a story, I have something to say. Maybe no one's going to listen, but like, I'm about to buy a camera and see where this goes.
Tell me about, so it says, you say jump, and then like, what's the thought process to get, let's start posting on social media? Like, how does that come about?
I'd always been a social media guy. I kind of understood how it worked. I knew that I had been in training. Like, I could talk now, I could speak. I wasn't scared to speak. I felt like I had a pretty good message. What I'd been through, the vulnerability of that. And so my issue is like, I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to film.
All right.
I can get on my phone. But I was like, no, if I'm going to do this, I want to really try and figure something out. Like, I'll do it in my free time as I'm trying to make money for my wife and I to live our life. And so between the roofing and some of the one-off marketing jobs and, just trying to figure stuff out. And, man, it was like, as I posted, I got really consistent. There was like this thing in me that was like, it's time to go, just start talking. And within a couple months, it's like, 15,000 followers, 20,000 followers. And by, December, from May to December, it's like 200,000 followers. And then, from January to June, it's 1 million followers. And now it's, 1.4 million followers and 600,000 on TikTok. And all, it's happened so fast. It's felt so long, but so short at the same time. And so it's like, it's insane. I can't explain it. It's just been a consistency, an openness and authenticness, a betting on myself, a lot of no's, telling people no, which I was not good at before. And I don't know, man, like, I do feel like I have a message. I think it's been refined over the last year. I think that's why the community is so connected with me on socials is they've seen my evolution. I haven't been like, you don't have to come in there and just I have all the answers. I tried that at first.
Yeah.
And I thought I did. But the more that I have lived life, it's like, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
The only thing I can give them is authenticity of where I'm at in the moment. And I think I have some revelation with where we're at here.
Yeah.
And maybe you're there too. Like, that's what I'm thinking as I'm talking to the camera. It's like, maybe you're here too. And that's what's hit is they just wanted a real. They just wanted someone that would.
The authenticity that you have, dude, is unbelievable.
I appreciate it.
I mean, obviously I started following you when your brother started talking about you and starting to watch your reels. I mean, I watch them all the time now because they come up in my feed, obviously. And I mean, it's so authentic. And I think that's why people gravitate to you.
It took a minute to get there, like it did, because, you start off and it's like, well, the route that I was on, it's like, okay, I'll be a campus pastor. I'll be, I'll be the next Mike Todd, or I'll be the next Rich Wilkerson, and I'll be speaking at all these conferences. And then you leave that place and you're like, okay, I'll be the next Ed Milet. And you start trying to plan this path. And you start acting like everyone's life coach and guru, and it's like, people don't like that shit, dude. Like, people.
I mean, some people gravitate to it.
Some people do, but what they really gravitate to is, am I scared to be me?
Yeah.
And that's where the exponential growth happened. Like, from.
Well, and you talk about things, real life experiences that people are going through on a daily basis.
Yep.
And I think the message, at least for me, and probably a lot of people, is it's okay.
It's okay. Number one, it's okay. And number two, you're not alone.
You're not alone. That's right.
I think that's the thing that someone commented on my video and said, it's like you know exactly what to say. It's like you came in through my window.
Yeah.
And I think I said back to her, I said, maybe we're just all in the same house. And
so good.
I think that's what I've seen over the years, the last year, is we might have different experiences, but we feel the same things.
Yep.
We feel the same thing. There's a theme. It's like human school. We're in human school.
Yes.
And there's lessons being taught, whether it's shame or guilt or fear or joy or confusion or betrayal or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to you is different than what happened to me, but the themes were the same.
Yes.
So if I can talk on the themes, I'm going to connect, because my fear feels the same as your fear, and my confusion feels the same as your confusion. So you connect off a feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, man,
it's just so good. I mean, I encourage everybody to follow JB Copeland on Instagram, TikTok, and I mean, it's powerful stuff that you're saying, man, and it obviously radiates with a lot of people. Or I mean, I don't know many. I mean, I don't know many people that organically grow as fast as you did. I mean, it's one thing, right, if a Kardashian retweets you or something, right, and you start picking up all these followers or something like that. But for you to just be going out and posting content, and content growing an audience of 2 million people in just over a year, it's just truly unbelievable.
I appreciate it.
Obviously, you're doing something right. And I think you're giving a lot of comfort to a lot of people, and people need that shit, man.
Yep.
And you know it. I mean, you're probably, I don't know if you would call yourself like a mental health expert or influencer, but that's certainly the space that you're playing in, right?
It is a space that I'm playing in. I think what's different is I'm not one. I'm
for
one,
sure.
I'm one of you. And I think that's where it hits is I don't have answers for you.
Right.
Which is insane to think that works in marketing.
Yes.
But that's true. I don't have answers for you because you have answers for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where.
And it's okay if you don't have answers today, right? Like it's okay.
But they're in you.
But they're there.
Yeah.
Find them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They're there.
But yeah, it is that niche. It's that space.
And so many, what I'm saying, and by saying that is there's so many people that have mental health problems.
Oh yeah.
In today's world.
I mean, I got them.
Sure. We all do. We all do. You know, I mean, I think everybody's had, you know, it's funny as a kid, I remember having a couple anxious moments, but I've noticed later in life, like it gets you more as you get older.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I remember, you know, having some kind of panic type episodes and going, man, I've kind of got to retrain my brain a little bit, you know? And I went and, you know, talked to a psychiatrist and, you know, and learned how to, you know, do, you know, mental deep breathing and yoga and then I started reading books, you know, and for me, like David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, is probably the most powerful book I've ever read.
Yep.
And it made me realize how important the brain is and how powerful it is, and that you better be in control of it or it's not going to be a good result for you, right?
Yep.
And so now my approach to life in general, probably 5 years ago, is just like, dude, I can do anything I want if I put my mind to it, right? Like there's nothing that can stop me. And I think that's kind of the genesis of Goggins' book. I mean, you've probably read it.
Yes.
I mean, he's one of a kind.
He's a beast, bro.
He's a beast. But you realize like, shit, I'm only using 20% of my brain, right? Like if I use 80% on a daily basis, I can accomplish anything.
Yeah. We watched, it's so funny. We watched Limitless last night.
I don't think I've seen that.
Bro.
Limitless.
You never seen Limitless with Bradley Cooper?
Don't think so.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Okay.
NZT. I was like, someone needs to. Limitless is about a guy that finds a street drug called NZT and it unlocks 100% of your brain. And I was like, I need one of those.
Wow.
You got to watch it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, watch it.
When was so you start posting? When did you kind of go, man, I'm on to something? How long did that take?
I think I was overly optimistic from the beginning. It's like you have a dream and you start seeing growth.
Yeah.
I knew I was onto something probably about a year ago when, you know, I'm hitting 60, 70, 80,000 followers. And I think more doubt has crept in since, which is crazy.
Interesting.
It's like the more money you get, the more you need. And it's this lack, this worry. But I've kind of held out of, you know, I haven't monetized anything, which is,
I know we've talked about
insane.
That. Yeah.
I'm either shooting myself in the foot. I'm either crazy or I'm not. I don't know.
You're going to figure out the right deal for you.
Yeah. And so, it's really been a year, this last year, really since October, it's been a year of a deeper level of confidence in myself, because that confidence out of rehab only lasted for so long.
Yeah.
And then you hit new heights and you hit new goals, and it's like the dopamine level rises, and then you know, you're used to gaining 6,000 followers a day, and you gain 3, it doesn't feel good. And you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
I'm like, how stupid do I sound right now? And then the algorithm, the ebbs and flows of the Instagram algorithm. And
I mean, I'm nowhere near you are, but it's wild to me. And, you know, my following's mainly on LinkedIn, but, you know, sometimes you post the dumbest stuff and you're like, that wasn't even good. And for me, I might have 15 or even 50,000 views of that one, right? And then sometimes I put in so much effort and I post something and I might only have like 2,000 or 3,000 views, you know, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, it doesn't even make sense. But at the end of the day, like, it's the entire message, not just one message.
Exactly.
You know,
it's a lifetime of putting in the work. And I've had to come to that place of realizing, just like I preach, it's like, I'm the only one that has answers for me. And a lot of people are going to come along and tell me to do it this way.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to say, you know, here's my resources. I own you. A lot of people are, you know, I've dealt with a lot of it in the last few months. And it's like, man, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm not saying don't take help from people, but what I am saying is, like, when you get to a level of where they see dollar signs, you know, it's hard to know who to trust, and it's hard to know who to, and so it's been hard for me. It's just getting burned over and over and over again. It's like, what is this? Like, why am I why am I not thinking I'm enough to where I can handle this?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's taken so long for me to drop something or to bring something to the light. But I had to go through that realization of, I'm enough and I can do it myself.
Yeah. What's the most viral post you've ever had? How many views?
Like 20 million.
20 million.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Do people walk up to you and, like, notice you at places?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Happens a lot.
That's incredible.
It's weird.
I mean, for me, it happens, but I'm mainly at, like, real estate related events, right? And people know, like, but for you to just, like, be having coffee and some guy goes, hey man, thanks for whatever you do, or are you JB? It's pretty amazing.
You the guy from Instagram? We had a lady I was at the gas station and I was walking back to my car. I'd gone in and got some Zins. Thank you, God, for Zins. And I was walking out and she was like, holy fuck, what the fuck? Are you JB? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, holy fuck. She's like, excuse my language. And I was like, this is hilarious. Like,
right.
You know, I wasn't expecting it, but it's almost weird.
She want a picture?
Yeah, we got a picture. But like, it's like, you know, they know me for the videos I post.
Yeah.
You know, they say it helps them, and I hope it does. But it's just like, it's weird because it's like, you have a perspective of me and I'm over here struggling, you know, like I'm over here dealing with my shit. I'm over here dealing with my insecurities and so it's been a bit crazy for me to have those conversations and to hear how much I'm helping, because I'm like, it's hard to be proud of yourself, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to be proud of yourself. Especially going back to what I said, when you're raised for perfection and so those are the things that I'm trying to work out of me. It's like, it's okay. I have permission to be proud of myself, not in a cocky way, but in a way to have some inner peace here. Like, I'm not where I want to be. Yeah. You know, I want to grow, but I gotta have some gratitude in the moment. I gotta get present. I have to be proud of myself. I need to love me. I've built this thing over the last year and 4 months, and it's like, not many people can say that, and I'm over here mad at myself.
Right.
You know? And so it's like and that's the crazy thing about it. It's like none of it makes you happy. What am I missing that's going to make me happy? And I think that's been the journey that I'm on is I gotta be in love with me.
Yeah.
I gotta be proud of me. I gotta value me. I gotta value who I am. And I could never get that from an outside source. It has to be within me.
Sure.
So it's been very eye-opening to me to be like, man, they just talked to me and it really helped them. And it's kind of like what my coach said. I'm not going to get mad at you if you mess up and I can't hear it.
Yeah.
And so I want to get to a place where I can hear it.
Yeah.
And be appreciative. And that's just me being honest. Like, there's a lot more growth in me that I see that, and I'm not there, and I don't think I'll ever be there.
Yeah.
But I think that there's layers.
Well, I think at the end of the day, what you're doing is, man, you're impacting a lot of people's lives, bro.
Yep. Thank you.
And that is something to be very proud of.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, your message is just so, I mean, dude, it's so different and so resonating. And because of that, it resonates with people. And I think it gives people hope, man. And that's a powerful thing. I mean, my whole life, like, mission now is like, how are you making an impact on other people's lives? Right. I talk about it all the time. And dude, you're doing that to perfection, man. And so
Thank you.
if you just keep doing that, I mean, your fulfillment tank will fill up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And the monetary stuff will come in due time, right? And everybody, I mean, you have to have that too. You know, you got to put a roof over your head, you got to put food on the table and all those other things, you know. And but I think what you're doing is just so unique and gives a lot of people hope, and that's pretty awesome, man.
Man, thank you.
We're gonna close with the C-suite closers, as I like to call them. Man, we've dug deep today, but is there something that people don't know about you that you'd like to share today? I mean, that you shared a lot.
Yeah. Something that people don't know about me.
You play the piano?
No. Man, I feel like a lot of people don't know that I played football, and
right.
I'm a sports fanatic, man.
Right.
And so maybe that's one thing.
Yeah.
I'm married.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it a lot, but people don't hear it. But like, I'm married. I have
your
a wife.
DMs probably blow up, bro.
I'm a married man. And I love my wife. This is one thing people don't know about me is none of this would be how it is if it weren't for my wife.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's
been your rock.
Oh, dude. Like, and she's helped me see value in me when I didn't.
Yeah.
And she's helped me say no to things I needed to say no to when I was scared to say no because I thought it was the only way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be me without her.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know you're a godly man, so I know that the Bible has been impactful in your life, but is there any other books that have been really impactful for you?
Yeah, man. And I would say this is a book that I read in rehab. Number one, I read all the Jack Reacher books. I love Jack Reacher, by the way. It's not if you like fiction, I love Jack Reacher.
Okay.
But there's a book, it's the 12 steps, but it's called Breathing Underwater, and it's by Richard Rohr. And it's not just for addicts. I think we're all addicts in our own way.
Yeah,
and
to some degree, right?
To some degree. It's more of a spiritual book about learning to breathe underwater. And I think that's maybe our issue a lot in life is we're so ready to get to land when home is, maybe 30 feet deep. and we gotta get used to this new way of life and learning to breathe underwater. And so I would recommend that book to anyone, addict or not.
Yeah.
It's a new look at spirituality. He's a mystic. He's out of the Catholic Church, but I mean, he's a Christian, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, my therapist was a Buddhist. Man changed my life.
Wow.
Didn't talk about Buddha, but he was just a man that helped me.
Yeah.
Very challenged me. He asked me how big my God was, and it was in a challenging way. And I said, he's big. And he's like, well, why are you acting like he's not? And
wow.
Spirituality, man, I think that's the key to all of this. I think something bigger.
If you don't have belief in a higher power, what is this all for, right? And who are you going to lean on when you have anxious moments? I don't understand atheism. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my whole deal is like, yeah, sure, I'm a Christian and I believe in Christ and all those other things, but if you don't believe in some higher power, whether it be Buddha or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, who do you lean on when you have anxious moments?
I have no clue.
I don't either. So I think that's so important.
I have no clue. There has to be something bigger.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, yeah, I think that book really opened my eyes to a new way of seeing God.
Yeah. You have a morning routine? Like, are you a guy that like hits the gym, cold plunge, sauna?
When I'm my best, yes. Right now, not as much.
Yeah.
I need to get better at that. If I'm up and I go to the gym and I cold plunge plunge, I love cold plunge, but like, man,
oh, it's good.
Yeah, I'm working out every day.
State,
I'm working out every day, but it's like schedule's a little jacked right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I am a man of routine and I need that routine, but I'm also an artist.
Yeah.
And so it's balancing the two.
Right.
It's like I got a good video in my head right now. It's either that or the gym, and it's like I'm gonna film this thing, and like, or if I'm editing and I'm I'm working, I have my own media business, and I do all the editing and whatnot, and it's you kind of get into crackhead mode, and I mean you're not leaving the couch for 2 days, and so it's just it's sometimes I long for a 9 to 5, man. Like I which is so weird. Like I am self-employed, but like I'm having to build that rapport and confidence in myself to be able to set my own schedule in a way that when I don't have structure, I tend to fall off a bit.
Yeah. It takes discipline.
It does.
Yep.
Got
to go back to your South Lake Carroll days.
I know. I
Dragon Maker.
Yeah, let's get back to Dragon Maker. So I need to get better at that, but when I'm at my best, yes.
What's on your Spotify playlist?
Dude,
so what do you like to listen to?
Anything. You talk about Philip. Me and Philip are always sending each other just the craziest, weirdest songs, but like,
right.
It can be in any genre.
Yeah.
If it hits, it hits.
Okay.
And so I got a lot of different songs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get from lifting, it's rap.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, or rock.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really lift a country. It just doesn't hit the same there. If you could have coffee with one historical figure, who would it be?
Oh,
it's deep.
One historical figure, who could it be? Probably my great grandpa somewhere down the line.
Okay.
I want to know where I came from.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandfather passed my namesake when I was 6 months old, so I never really got to know him, And boy, I'd give anything to just sit across the table from him and just
Yeah, it's like
find out where he came from, and how his dad and mom immigrated here from Denmark, in the late 1800s, and he was born here in the States, but half of his brothers and sisters were born in Denmark, but just to kind of know where you came from.
Yeah, I think that's so important on our journey is understanding where we're from, and we've kind of lost that, and you'd think in the digital age you would, but it's like we only know 3-4 generations up, and I'd like to know where I originated.
You could live anywhere in the world besides Dallas, Texas. Where would you live?
Probably, I don't like the policies, but probably Newport Beach. It's a great place.
The OC is great, man.
Orange County.
The OC is really nice.
Yeah.
The OC is probably a little more insulated on the policies.
It is.
I mean, if there is one little bitty red dot on that southern coast there, it's there in the OC.
It definitely is.
And gosh, yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, the weather, the beaches, all that good stuff. It's just can't be beat. What's your favorite thing about Dallas?
Family.
Yeah.
It's just home, I guess.
Yeah.
I love football. I don't know, man. I think it's just home. Sometimes you can't really explain what it is, but it's just like my wife's family's here, my family's here, brothers are here, minus my youngest brother who's in college right now in Kansas. But it's just where everyone is, and I think family is a very important part of life, even when they piss you off. So,
do you think you'll ever migrate back to Southlake and raise your kids out there, or what do you think?
Wife's against it. I probably wouldn't do it anyway. I think we'll probably stay in Frisco.
It's a good spot.
Yeah. I think we'll stay in Frisco. Yep.
So, dude, I usually close with the Madsen mantra, which is impacting others. I mean, you're obviously impacting a ton of people on your social media presence. Is there any like charities or stuff that you like to spend time with or give back to?
No.
Okay.
I haven't in the last year and a half, if I'm being honest with you. I mean,
so as you start monetizing this,
I will.
That's what you need to start thinking about next, right?
Yeah, I think single moms are like a really big thing on my heart, and even with wanting to help them.
Yeah.
I just saw so much of it at Dallas, and broken families, inner city broken families, and even, I mean, I have family members that are struggling, and it's like, man, I just want to see you be a mom. Like, I want to see you don't have to worry about bills and stuff like that, and raising your kids. I think probably another one would be, I think Rehab really did have a huge impact on me. Rehab is just like church. Some of them are good, some of them are bad.
Yeah.
And so I think.
Was that the first time you ever went to Rehab?
First time, yeah. I knew nothing about Rehab.
Unbelievable that it took one. Like most people, right? I've been to Rehab 5, 6, 7, ton of time. It only took one, I mean, you obviously, the message rang through.
The truth stuck, and the lies. What I like to say is swallow the meat, spit out the bones, and everything that we take in has bones.
Yeah.
There's a way that Rehab and AA is ran. I'm not against AA. I do think that there is keep coming back, and if you don't come back, and you're gonna.
Right.
I called bullshit on that pretty quick, and it's really about being gentle with yourself, and man, I've had run-ins with, I've smoked weed a couple times in the last 2 years. Started having panic attacks. I mean, I was on Wellbutrin up until April, and got off of it, and it's just like I think that there's an internal thing in me where it's like I can feel myself going off if I don't, but the depth and the understanding that I've really searched within me is like, okay, obviously it's not the drug here that we're worried about. This is something deeper. What's going on? And usually it comes back to I don't value myself, or I'm scared to take a chance, or I have fears. It's a fear thing usually. That's where most of usage comes from for me is what am I scared of? And getting to the depth of that and figuring that out, and it might take a couple weeks or a few days to work through that and release that, but it's just daily reflection that's really, really helped me out. So I'm a big fan of rehab, and especially the rehab I went to. It closed down, sadly. I know. But the people there and the people that worked it, like that were the therapist and those are people that I would really want to help maybe start something again.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, bro, what's the handle on Instagram? Is it just JB Copeland?
JB_Copeland.
There you go.
Instagram and TikTok.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll put it all in the show notes. Maybe I'll add about 5 followers for you. Probably won't make a dent in the 5,000 to 6,000 you add every day, but yeah, that's pretty amazing, bro. And thanks for sharing your story today.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.